It'd be nice if we could do the same thing, share the car, and have someone to share the driving.
No, that'd be great. Did you probably not do it tonight either?
Sure. Yes. No, we'll talk on the way.
All right. So now we get into the actual practice. So we'll start to go over the more difficult lines. And I think some of these lines are the reason they kept it secret. They kept this LOJONG Duma secret. So there are 5 lines here in this verse that they need to be taught carefully or kept secret, one or the other, because this is the kind of teaching that someone who doesn't understand can waste a lot of their life on. You know, they spend 20 years trying to understand what it means or practicing incorrectly. Thank you. Yes. So, okay. So the verse reads, "Learn to see all things as a dream. Examine the nature of the mind unborn. The antidote itself is gone to is. Let it go in the essence, source of all things." What are you going to do with that? How will you meditate or live your life according to those ideas, right? It's supposed to be very profound, deep instruction.
Will you say it again?
Yeah. Learn to see all things as a dream. And this is from the reading, so let me get the reading. Examine the nature of the mind unborn. The antidote itself is gone to is. Let it go in the essence, source of all things. So, all right, so first line, learn to see all things as a dream.
What could be more straightforward?
I'm just dreaming my way through life.
I think that's the easiest one in this structure. Yeah, life is treated like a dream, because unbeknownst to us, it is a dream. What we take for real, it is no more substantial than what we experience when we're asleep, believing that to be real and substantial while we're asleep.
So they're talking about understanding that the outer world is empty, it's self-existent nature, right? Yes, I know. That's where the funny look arises. They're like,
Outer world?
outer world.
Is that like outer where?
I'm not going to bite first. You're setting me up, but I'm not going to bite, okay?
Okay.
So, you know, especially your body is empty of the nature of its own. It's an illusion. They're saying it's an illusion. Like it's like a dream. It's like an illusion. What does an illusion mean? Things are not the way they appear, right? Things appear a certain way and they are not really that way, right? That's the idea here, right? So the way in which the world seems to work is not correct, right? We look around and we think, if I lie, if I cheat, if I steal, I'll get rich. You know, I think all the causation that we normally think about isn't real, isn't true. It doesn't actually function that way, right? So when you get rich, don't go slave to some business or some corporation. You know, give money intelligently and beautifully and effectively to as many people as possible, right? Want to be healthy, don't go to the gym, take care of other people. That's the true cause of being well, right? Don't need to buy more vitamins. So serve the sick and be sure that other people are taken care of and that they're well and healthy. So, you know, you want to be beautiful, want to be handsome, then meditate well and develop concentration. Think about compassion for other beings. These are true causes. So, you know, doing these things actually changes your energies and changes the nature of your being and the nature of your mind. So, if you want to get what you want, then take care of other people, right? So, that's how the world really works, ultimately, karmically. Everything else is an illusion, you know. The idea of being faster, smarter, brighter to get everything you want is an illusion. It's not true. What's really making things happen is the karma, is your karma that you put. So that's, you know, that's the idea. Learn to see all things as a dream. Like Jesus said, you know, if you want, if you plant lemons, you don't get oranges, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, all spiritual traditions say, you know, you plant watermelon seeds, you're not going to get a peach tree, right? Whatever causes you put in place, you'll get the result. So, okay. So the outer world and the body and all the problems in life have come through not understanding us, and have come through not putting other people first, not caring for other people, not being virtuous towards everyone around us, right? Every single act of suffering that we have can be traced back to not being kind or virtuous to others. So, traffic, pollution, dangerous environment, health, problems at work, all created by failures to think about other people. So, that's the first thing. To believe that the bad things in our lives come from anything else other than causes we put in place is an illusion. Right? It just means, it's really the point of the first line is you have to be a good person, simply said. You have to collect the correct causes. Second line says, examine the nature of the mind unborn. Well, I have a mind, it was born. What are they talking about? Right? So, this is the kind of thing, some Lama comes and gives a 2-day teaching. So I'll be back in a couple of years, meditate on the nature of your mind, unborn. And then what? And you're like walking around trying to solve this koan, right? And people come up and say, what does it mean, examine my mind unborn? How do I have an unborn mind, right? So, the first line is talking about the outer world and the body, right? The second line is talking about your mind, along the same principles. So, the body in the outer world is like a dream in that the things you think caused it didn't really cause it, right? A healthy body didn't come from vitamins and gym, it came from taking care of other people in the past. So, the second line, are you tired of being jealous? Are you tired of being upset? Are you tired of being unhappy? Are you tired of being depressed? I am. I need to treat other people better. Excuse me. This is dinner. Chocolate covered raisins, some tea.
Nice.
No. Does it seem like nobody cares about us, nobody's there for us, and on and on and on, right? All mental problems stem from the same thing, which is not taking care of other people, not caring about other people. So he's saying in the second line that the mind is empty of self-existence. The mind exists in its current configuration because of past causes. If I'm depressed, it has causes from the past. If I'm jealous, if I'm lonely, on and on and on, it comes from past causes, all right, and nothing else. So if you see something in your mind, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, recognize that it came from those seeds, right? It's a projection onto an otherwise blank screen, right? I perceive my thoughts, right? I'm aware of my feelings and my thoughts. I feel happy. I feel unhappy. I feel really down. I feel really bleak. Those are perceptions. That's self-awareness, right? It didn't come from nowhere. Those perceptions arose because of causes set up in the past. Okay, so that's the point here. So the mind doesn't have a nature of its own, and so in that sense it's empty, or he's using the term unborn. Okay, so unborn is synonymous with empty. So if you want a happy mind, be good to other people. That's the answer, not the therapist. Save $150 an hour, whatever it is in New York, right? Just every time you feel down, go be good to someone. It's a very effective antidote. Whenever you're feeling low, whenever you're feeling blue, whenever you're feeling down, just get up and go help somebody. Immediately feel better, in the short term and in the long term. It's cheaper. It's a whole lot cheaper. Okay. So, according to Buddhism, that's the only way to stop your mental afflictions and your mental negativity. Right? There's no other way. So, taking care of other people and thinking about what they need is the only solution. Okay, the third line, the antidote itself is gone to is. All right. Meditate on going to is and isness. It's very profound. She was a very profound holy teacher. Come back next week. No. Right? So it's it's particularly dangerous, right? The antidote is gone to is, right? You know, there are lineages in Tibet where this stuff, where people got carried away with this stuff. It sounds very sexy, right? I mean, it becomes very catchy. It's very sexy. We're meditating on isness. We've gone to is. You know, I mean, the meaning seems to to get lost. You know, this stuff flies around. So, I mean, you know, after 3 months or 3 years, someone comes back and says, "Well, I didn't quite get to isness." Anyway, so the antidote itself has gone to is means that the mind, which understands, is also empty, right? The antidote. What is the antidote? I mean, what is the antidote to the first two? You know, understand that your body is empty, understand that your mind is empty, understand that your world is empty, right? Of self-existent nature, right? Right? So, the wisdom is the antidote, right? Wisdom understanding emptiness or ultimate reality is the antidote, right? But what about that? Is that self-existent? Is emptiness self-existent? Right? So wisdom is being talked about in the third line. Okay, understanding what's really going on is the subject matter of the third line. Okay, I mean, when he says, why does he say he's gone to is? And it's like the Wizard of Oz, right? You go to is and like all of a sudden magic happens, right? So he's saying that you have to realize that emptiness itself is also a construct, an idea. It's not a self-existent thing, right? So not even the wisdom which gets you out of all your other problems is self-existent. Okay? I mean, emptiness and understanding ultimate reality enables us to not think of the world and me in my mind as being existing from its own side concretely, right? But then that whole idea of emptiness too is a construct and I want to say device, but it's misleading. It's a vehicle whereby we can behave appropriately in suffering, right? It doesn't exist from its own side. That's the point of number 3.
Because it's a negative.
Well, it's a projection, you know. Anything that we conceptualize, anything that we conceive, is a positive projection, right? So he's flirting here with which of the 5 paths, right? We're talking about emptiness, which of the 5 paths.
Sim. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, renunciation and bodhicitta are basically the first path. I mean, if you're in your spiritual career, everyone who is going to get enlightened has to go through the 5 spiritual levels, right? First of which is basically realizing renunciation and bodhicitta, right? And the second is what?
A good intellectual understanding.
Yeah, it's a path of understanding emptiness intellectually, right? Preparation. You're preparing to see emptiness. You're studying ultimate reality, emptiness. You know, you're learning about it, you're getting familiar with it, you're becoming deeply comfortable and conversant in it, deep familiarity, right? And so this is, you know, and then the third path is what? It's the direct experience of ultimate reality, right? And then fourth path?
Habituation.
Yeah, it's using that realization and that direct communion with highest reality to change your behavior going forward, right? I mean, just because you have a direct experience of ultimate reality, it's not like all of a sudden you put on new clothes and you got your angel wings. You know, you still have to clean up all your negativities and afflictions. And so this spiritual path is not some sort of, you know, find the blue pill and everything's okay. You know, it's develop the capacity and the basis to clean oneself up so that I'm pure, right? We're all pure. And so after we have this deep and profound realization of ultimate reality, that's a powerful basis to clean ourselves up and become pure. And it makes it a whole lot easier and faster than before we had the experience, right? And then the fifth path is nirvana and Buddhahood, right? Attaining nirvana and Buddhahood. So, you know, when we're talking about these things, we're talking about the second path, gaining an intellectual understanding of emptiness, right? I mean, we just talked about emptiness, and you know, you basically understood what I was saying, right? So you had a perception of emptiness, right? You perceived emptiness, right? Yes. Yeah, it's not a direct experience, not a direct communion with ultimate reality, but you understood it intellectually. Right? So, okay. So the fourth line is, let it go in the essence, source of all things. Okay, sexy, vague, dangerous. You know, I mean, if you really want to mess up people and you really want to have a corrupt form of Buddhism, put all these Lojong snippets in a book and pass them around and say, you know, live like this, right? That would be quite the mess. So, good way to ruin American Buddhism. You know, Geshe Chikawa memorized hundreds of books, and you know, they wouldn't teach it to him for a decade, right? So, anyway, letting go here means two things. First, it means to let go of, what do you think? What might you be letting go of?
Attachments or the ways that we think the world works.
Could be. But can you elaborate on that? Take it a step further?
I don't know, let go of our concept of emptiness.
And letting go of self-existent view, right? Letting go of thinking of things as self-existent, right? The other thing that it means is letting go of the obstacles to meditation. Letting go of the problems of meditation, because you have to meditate to be able to realize emptiness and ultimate reality. So the first reference here is letting go is a code word for overcoming the obstacles to meditation, right? And there are two main obstacles. Do you remember what they are?
Dullness and agitation.
Yeah, dullness. I mean, agitation is more obvious, right? You're sitting there and you're trying to concentrate single-pointedly or subtly, and you can't stop thinking about work. I mean, you know, a normal job and a normal life for most of us is a huge obstacle to meditation. You know, you wake up in the morning, and the first thing you think about is what I got to do at work today, and all the things I have to deal with, and you know, and getting there on time, and right? So it's an easy way. The job is a great demon to ruin our meditation, you know, because it's normal. I mean, you work, you wake up thinking about work, you go to bed thinking about work often, or the problems of life. Or you're sitting there meditating, you know, and you start to smell breakfast from across the hall, you know, or you know, and then all of a sudden you can't meditate because you're smelling breakfast and you're thinking about breakfast, right? So that's agitation. That's gross agitation where your mind is completely drawn off, completely thrown off, not able to settle down, not able to concentrate, right? And then mental dullness is the opposite. In its gross form, it's the result of not sleeping enough or eating too much. And you know, try to meditate after a big meal, right? Or try to meditate after you didn't get enough sleep the night before. You know, you're just like trying to stay awake on the cushion. Right? So those are very gross forms of obstacles. More subtly, when you get to be very good at sitting, and you can sit nicely, you can sit still, and your mind can be very still. Subtle dullness is you're just kind of buzzed out, right? You're sitting there, you're not focused on anything, you're just like, oh yeah, I got a blank, calm mind, and I'm meditating really well. That's just actually dullness. That's actually a form of dullness in the mind. The mind isn't focused on anything, it's not bright, it's not tight, it's not clear, it's not alert. So, so that one's much more dangerous. So, letting go on this fourth line, letting go in the essence means to let go of those two obstacles to meditation. Okay? And then letting go of seeing things as self-existent is the second, right? And so then, when you let go of seeing things as self-existent, then you move into seeing things as empty, right? So from line 3 to line 4, you know, you're sort of transitioning along the paths, right? So going from one path to the next, from the second to the third path that we talked about, okay? So any normal American person who read that line would never get that, you know? So all these things that seem kind of sexy, kind of cool, when you learn them properly, it's plain old Abhidharma, plain old Vinaya, plain old logic, you know, standard Asian classics courses, you know. There's no sexy isness to realize, it's just karma and emptiness. Okay, so next verse is, in between sessions, be a figment of the imagination. I'm just going to walk around being a figment of imagination. I'm not really here. I'm a figment of your imagination. I'm a figment of my own imagination, for that matter, you know. I can tell you like these, Bruce. You're like, I'm going to do that one, right? So, How would a normal misinterpretation be? Oh, well, nothing matters. I'm just a figment of reality. I can do whatever I want. Morality doesn't matter. It's all pretend. Nothing counts, right? So that's not the point. I don't have to keep vows. So this is talking about a very specific spiritual level called Jetob Yeshe. Please say Jetob Yeshe.
Jetob Yeshe.
So this is, what was spiritual level number 3?
The path of seeing.
Yeah, direct perception of emptiness. So this occurs after the direct perception of emptiness. So when one has a direct perception of ultimate reality, one's in deep meditation, and then one finishes with the deep meditation and comes out of the deep meditation, right? And then there's this subsequent state which comes after that. Yeshe means wisdom. So this refers to the period of, say, a day, 10 or 12 hours after you come out of the direct perception of emptiness, when everything is appearing differently to you. You're having a series of realizations and a series of deep spiritual insights. And so all these incredible realizations, which are collectively known as the 4 Arya truths, which is sometimes translated badly as the 4 noble truths, right? Noble being a bad translation of Arya, right? And Arya is someone who's seen emptiness directly. So all these different experiences that one has when one comes out of the experience of ultimate reality, they're grouped into 4, right? Up until the time that you perceive emptiness and ultimate reality, every single perception in your life is incorrect, is inaccurate. So Buddhism says that in that time there are 65 perceptions occurring, right? So 65 mental imprints are collected per instant, right? So, this is that's 200 impressions. We have countless impressions in our minds, So that's, that kind of perceptual processing is enough to say, I see movement, I experience movement, I am enjoying a tea, this is a cup of tea, I'm enjoying a cup of tea. Just that, all of those mental imprints and mental impressions are what turn into, this is a cup of tea, it's wet, I'm drinking it, it tastes like that, instant by instant ripening, right? So during the entire course of our life, we've not had one single instant of correct perception up until the time we perceive ultimate reality. So not one was accurate. All of them are polluted by the belief that things are coming from the other side, that things exist out there from the other side. Right? So it's not possible as an ordinary being to have a single perception that isn't infected by that belief. So when you see emptiness directly, it's your first accurate perception for your infinite past existence. Right? So it's a huge event. It's a monumentous thing. So when you come down out of it, what happens? When you come down out of the experience of ultimate reality, you are truly perceiving reality as it exists in its highest state, as it really exists, as it purely exists. What then happens when you come down out of that profound meditative state? You're back to your schmucky perception again. You're back to your old schmucky perceptions again, right? So you're perceiving everything in an ordinary, self-existent way again, right? So it's the difference between having your old self-existent, schmucky, ordinary perceptions and not knowing that they're incorrect versus knowing that they're incorrect, right? So when you come out of this experience, you realize directly that all of your moment-to-moment perceptions are wrong and they're illusory. And so this is the real meaning of illusion and illusory in Buddhism, is that you know things are one way, but you're seeing them another way, right? It's like that, right? So after that, then you have to go through the whole 4th path, which is the path of habituation. And typically it takes hundreds of years, maybe 7 lifetimes, to completely re-habituate one's mind and one's being, to eliminate all self-existent view and all affliction and negativity. Right? 500 years or something, right? Unless one is pursuing Tantra and the higher teachings and the accelerated teachings of the practice, in which case you can do it in one lifetime. Right? To overcome that tendency of seeing things as self-existent. And then at that point you reach nirvana or enlightenment. Right? So, okay, next line. Yeah.
Practice giving and taking.
I'm not sure if we can do that one because it's kind of late. Let's skip that one and do the 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 stores of virtue. Practice throughout the day in words. The order of taking is to start with yourself. So again, not very clear or applicable. 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 stores of virtue. Practice throughout the day in words. The order of taking is to start with yourself. So, pretty obscure. Start with the second line. Practice throughout the day in words. So, this is referring to the practice of lojong. Tonglen. So the practice of Tonglen is where you take on the suffering of others and you give them every happiness as a meditation. And we have 4 minutes. I'm not going to teach it, but simply, it's a mental practice where one. Let's say you're walking down the street, and you see all the people with all of this problems of the world on their face and all the stress, and you visualize yourself taking away all their problems and all their suffering, and them going into. It's a detailed meditation which you can study for hours, and you should. But briefly, you take them into your heart and you destroy them instantly in a flash of light. And then you breathe out all happiness and goodness to them. So you're taking all their suffering and destroying it instantly and breathing out all happiness to them. And so what this is referring to that practice where all day long, as you're walking down the street, as you're in the office, as you're in the subway, everybody you look at, you're constantly saying, give me your problems, give me your suffering, give me your pain. I see the stress of your job, I see the worry you have, I see the physical malady you have. Give me all these problems. I'm going to take them in and destroy them instantly, and I'm going to then, exhale to you every goodness and everything you could possibly want. So this is the practice that they're referring to here in the second line. Okay, all day long engaging in that practice, all day long in words. So the order of taking is to start with yourself. So when you do Tonglen properly, you do it with yourself. When you get up in the morning, you think about the problems that you're going to have today. What's going to happen to me at work today? Who's going to yell at me? Who am I going to argue with? What pains in the butt am I going to have to deal with? What crazy people am I going to have to deal with? What stresses am I going to have? And then you see yourself taking away your problems that are existing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to be, wrestling with somebody over whatever at work. Well, you visualize all the suffering you're having at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you take it in and you destroy it, and you give yourself every happiness and every goodness. So you start with yourself. It's a beautiful way to start the day, to set the day up with a nice resonance. So that's what they're referring to there. So it's like creating an upward spiral, a karmic upward spiral with yourself, right? You're practicing overcoming your problems later in the day and collecting karma to actually short circuit those things and to change those things. Okay, so what are the 3 objects? What are the 3 points, 3 poisons, and what are the 3 stores of virtue? 3 objects. What are the 3 things that everyone in New York City on any given day is focusing on? I'll cut to the chase. Everybody's all day long thinking about what they like. What's nice, what's pretty, what's attractive, what's enjoyable. That's what we normally think about, right? It doesn't matter whether it's, food or clothes we want to buy or doing a good job at work and getting a compliment. We're focused on all the good stuff that we're thinking about having it come to us and getting it for ourselves, right? Alternately, constantly thinking about all the bad things we're trying to avoid. I hope that client doesn't stiff me and not pay the bill. I hope my boss doesn't scream at me. You know, I hope I won't feel depressed. I hope I won't run into some smelly beggar on the subway that I have to sit next to. You know, I mean, whatever it is, all the things we want to avoid, right? And then the third thing is what? I mean, think about the subway today. You know, how many people do you remember from your subway ride? You know, today. I mean, well, there's the pretty person who was across the road that I remember. You know, and there's this guy who's like in my space. And I remember him. You know. But everybody else I kind of don't remember, right? It's like everybody in between. You know, I remember what I liked and I remember what I don't like, and then there's everybody in between, everything in between, which is all the stuff I'm indifferent towards, all the stuff I'm neutral and indifferent towards. So these are the three things that we're just constantly, this is the content of our mind and the content of our life, right? What we like, what we don't like, and what we're indifferent towards. Okay? So, what are the three poisons? Liking things in an ignorant way. Ignorant meaning what? You know, the Buddha likes paradise, I'm sure. You know, I would like to not suffer. I mean, what does it mean to like something in an ignorant way? Liking something in an ignorant way means what?
Thinking that it self-existently is something you like.
Well,
it wasn't something you produced, created through your karma.
Not understanding where it comes from.
Well, typically, yes, and the next step is you would hurt someone to get it. Okay? So if you like something ignorantly, you know, there's a progression, we talked about it in a prior course, there's a progression where there's a progression of causation. First you think it's self-existent. You know, then you like it. Then you want it. Then you try to get it. And in the process of trying to get it, you're willing to hurt someone to do that. Because it's self-existently there and you need to get it. You know. So implicit in that is you're willing to cause pain and suffering to get something. That's the ignorance component. And then the same is true of disliking something ignorantly, right? You're trying to get away from the problem, you're trying to get away from something you don't like, and you're willing to hurt someone to do it. Right? All right. You know, you want to get rid of the roaches in your apartment. Killing them is the way to get rid of them, right? No, I mean, death, you know, death is not the source of a lovely place to live, right? I mean, it's not the true causation. So it's ignorance. It's a definition of a stupid thing to do, and it creates a vicious suffering cycle where our bodies will suffer and die and be killed, right? So, okay. And then it's the three stores of virtue. These are the three virtues, right? So, here we go. Where's the verse? 3 objects, 3 poison, 3 stores of virtues. So, by doing LOJONG on those 3 poisons, you get the 3 stores of virtue, right? You see someone who's liking something ignorantly, and you do Tonglen with it, right? And in doing Tonglen with that, you're collecting a store of virtue. Okay? So you see someone you're like, okay, your desire, you know, you're craving something, you're going to steal, you're going to lie, you're going to cheat. Let me take that craving away from you, right? And let me give you wisdom, and let me give you love, right? So that's using Tonglen to address one of the 3 poisons. And the same thing is, you know, you have hatred, you have jealousy, you know, let me take that away from you and give you peace of mind and love and happiness, right? So by doing, you get these incredible virtues, which are the opposite of the 3 poisons, and those are the 3 roots of virtue. So that's the idea. And then the next verse says, the blame all belongs to one person.
Wait, I'm sorry, John.
Yeah.
That was huge, what you just said.
Well, we only had 1 minute.
So you're saying we turn the 3 virtues, we practice Tonglen, and we turn them in. No, we take the 3 poisons, we practice Tonglen, and we turn them into virtues.
So first there are 3 objects, right?
Okay.
Which are things that are, you know, they're attractive or repulsive or in between, neutral, right? Those are the 3 objects. The 3 poisons that normally come from focusing upon those: ignorant liking, ignorant disliking, right? And ignorance itself. Ignorance, yeah. And then the 3 stores of virtue are that you become free of those 3 poisons. right? Those are the 3 stores of virtue that you collect. You're free of each of those 3 poisons, which is each a store of virtue. Okay. By resolving to take upon all the pain and causes that other people are experiencing them. You know, so if you see someone with one of the poisons, you see someone who's ignorantly craving something, you do the Len practice, taking it away from them, destroying it instantly, and giving them every goodness and happiness. So that's a powerful virtue that you're collecting. By engaging in that practice, you're collecting a powerful store of virtue by engaging in that practice. Does that make sense? Okay. So, next one, see the deception as being the 4 bodies, and emptiness as the matchless protector. Oh, we skipped one. We're back at the blame all belongs to one person. What are they talking about? Should go that one. Yeah, I mean, karmically, you cause everything that's happening to you. Don't blame anyone else, okay? Don't go whining about, they did this to me, they did that to me, you know, they treated me so unjustly, you know, yada, yada, yada. You know, it's like, I caused it. I caused everything that's happening to me. I'm responsible. I need to fix it. End of story, right? Okay, that was easy. Next one, see the deception as being the 4 bodies and emptiness as the matchless protector. Okay. Now you know what the deception is, right? Deception means thinking that if you lie, you get things, right? That's deceptive. Lying is not really the cause of getting things, right? You know, if I kill roaches, I'll have a clean apartment, right? No, that's deceptive. Okay, killing cannot be a cause of anything other than death. You know, lying cannot be a cause for wealth. Why? Because it doesn't always work. If something's a true cause, it always works. Okay. A negative action cannot lead to a positive result, according to Buddhism. Okay, you can't do a bad deed and get a good result from it. All right. If you lie to someone, somebody's going to lie to you in the future. All right? It doesn't. So, okay. What are the 4 bodies? We talked 4 bodies of an enlightened being, right? The first one is the body, the part of them which is in paradise, the Sambhogakai. It's kind of the sexy light body which is resident in paradise, right? The second is their emanation body, their aspect where they can emanate countless forms and countless bodies to any realm, any planet, any being, anywhere, right? And the third is their mind, their omniscient state of mind, right? Blissful omniscient state of mind. And then the 4th is the emptiness of the other 3 bodies, right? So that's really what they're referring to here, the emptiness of the other 3. The fact that the body and mind I have now could be a foxy, sexy paradise body at this moment in time if I had previously collected the causes. But I didn't, so it's not. Sad. Okay, I could have had the omniscience of a Buddha if I had collected the causes previously, right? So if I had got my act together in the past, then I'd be having better outcomes right now, right? So this is the point here. That's the emptiness of the other 3 bodies, right? So, you know, in a sense right now, we have the 3 bodies of the Buddha, which is that my components are empty and could be those things, right? So, and that's what Buddha nature is, right? I mean, my body is empty and can change into an enlightened body. My mind is empty of self-existence and can change into an omniscient enlightened mind, right? So that's the Buddha nature that we have, right? So when we talk about taking refuge, you know, taking refuge in bowing down to a Buddha image isn't true refuge. You know, Buddhist monasteries had tens of thousands of paintings and statues and everything else. In Tibet, they all got burned to the ground and destroyed. You know, the imagery was not protection. You know, the tankas and the statues are not protection. You know, tens of thousands, a million monk ordained monks and nuns, you know, are forced to disrobe or murdered in Tibet. You know, robes are not protection. You know, being ordained is not protection. You know, so what's refuge? You know, refuge is understanding emptiness. That's what the text means. So. So if you understand that the world and your mind are empty, and that any bad thing that comes to you is a projection of your own mind, which is forced upon you by your past karma, what's your natural reaction? Not to do it again. Right? Not to engage in that same negative behavior and perpetuate your own suffering. Right? That's true protection. That's what the true protection is. Understanding emptiness and karma is true refuge and true protection. So, keeping our vows, learning bodhisattva vows, learning higher vows and keeping them is true protection. Then we won't have problems. Then we won't have the sufferings. So, the fact that everything is empty allows us to attain paradise and is the thing that saves us. Right? The fact that everything is blank and what my mind projects as my reality is the thing which will allow me to attain complete enlightenment and paradise. So, when the client screams, when the boss screams, what am I supposed to think? Emptiness, right? Emptiness. Blank screen. Unpleasant, suffering thing forced upon me by my past actions. So it could have been a boss or a client coming in to say, good job, here's some extra money. Happy to pay you. If we had collected those seeds. So it didn't have to be unpleasant. Could have been pleasant. So emptiness is the only protection, and understanding that is the only protection. So we'll stop there, and we shall continue with the next verses next week.
Sashi Puki Jishin Metokram Rira Lingshi Ninde Yampadi Sangye Shindu Mide Vivargi Rohun Namda Shinla Chiparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamninyatayami Ngawadi Ngawokun Sunam Yeshe Tsoksokshin Sunam Yeshe Legend Hui Damba Kuni Toparsho.
By the power of our practice and our intention this evening, we instantly place all others at the forefront of our hearts, offering them every goodness and every happiness, moment to moment, throughout time and existence, quickly attaining paradise. Thank you. Until we meet again. Thank you, Jim.